The Coen brothers are masters of their craft. They somehow manage to make films that serve as homages, parodies, critiques, and love letters to genres and time periods, yet their works somehow seem wholly original. Hail Caesar can be seen as a spiritual sequel to the brothers' Cannes Award-winning Barton Fink. As the fictional studio Capitol Pictures, a place where capital comes before motion pictures, is a key player in the narrative, Eddie Mannix is a fixer at said studio. He wrangles and puts an end to all the many entanglements that its stars get into. Hail Caesar is the studio's latest epic. Its lead star gets kidnapped, which of course gets the narrative gears turning. The film seems to serve as a satirical what-if scenario, which depicts a reality in which Senator McCarthy was right, and the Red Threat was in fact infesting the very fabric of the nation, and in turn the studio system in Hollywood. Were there some communists in Hollywood at the time? Yes. However, they were not this sinister looming threat that aimed to indoctrinate the nation through movies. Some filmmakers added their ideology to their work, however it was not any more than other artists with different ways of thought. In Hail Caesar, the writers do seem to be a part of a sinister plan of the Soviet Union. The film seems to draw a parallel between ideologies, financial theories, and religion. This is apparent from the framing of the leaders of said ideologies. In the framework of the film, Eddie's boss is the deity of capitalism, and the Kremlin is the deity of communism, both of which are not shown, but we feel their presence in the picture as we would of God in a religious movie. Whitlock also seems to describe the text of the communists the same way that some describe holy books of their religion.
They've actually figured out the laws that dictate everything. History, sociology, politics, morality, everything. It's all in a book called Capital, with a K.
Of course, no one system or religion has all the answers, and the Coens seem to be firmly on a fence, not advocating for any ideology, but saying we should not be so dogmatic in our views. I think it's important to note that whatever hypocrisy exposed by the film isn't meant to be an academic analysis of these ideals and are just the Coens' brand of humor in which we see flawed humans stumbling through a web of hypocrisy and ironies, as apparent with the communist writers screwing Whitlock out of a share of the ransom despite him being the means of production. The fake movie Hail Caesar also seems to let us in on the incoming narrative as the journey of Eddie and Whitlock mirrors the story of Hail Caesar.
Our story is told through the eyes of a Roman tribune, Autolycus Antoninus. Ordinary man, skeptical at first, but who comes to a grudging respect for this swell figure from the East.
The figures from the East, of course, being the Russians, and the newfound respect for ideology is for Whitlock communism, and for Eddie it's capitalism. Eddie is a man who's having a crisis of faith. However, the faith that's in peril is his faith in his job, as he views it as too easy. His faith in his boss and job is renewed throughout the film, as we see that his boss's advice led to the resolvement of all his problems. The scandal and the kidnapping of Whitlock are both solved due to his higher power advising him to cast a small-town boy in a movie, which he was initially against, but he had faith that his boss knew best. The faithful shall be rewarded is a common notion in religion, and in the film we see this concept play out. The communist writers are not faithful to their ideology as they seem to be motivated purely out of greed and spite, rather than the core values of the ideology they preach. The Russian sleeper spy is true to his beliefs, as he shows that he values life over capital, by rescuing his dog from falling, instead the bribe he's been given. The writers are punished by having their money sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Eddie's faith in the end is rewarded by his problems being solved, and he's given a renewed motivation in his job and purpose in life, something he seems to realize himself when giving this speech to Whitlock, which can be viewed as him also talking to himself. A reassurance of sorts.
You're gonna go out there and you're gonna finish Hail Caesar. You're gonna give that speech at the feet of the penitent thief and you're gonna believe every word you say. You're gonna do it because you're an actor and that's what you do. Just like the director does what he does and the writer and the script girl and the guy who claps the slate. You're gonna do it because the picture has worth, and you have worth if you serve the picture, and you're never gonna forget that again.
As the film comes to an end, we see Eddie's god is the studio system, or capitalism, as apparent from the Behold Water Tower, which brings to mind the infamous quote, "Behold the face of God." Hail Caesar, while not up to par with the very best of the brothers' work, it's definitely not approaching their worst. It can be viewed as a deeply sardonic comedic jab at studio bigwig nature, McCarthyism, ideological dogmatism, and the impact both media and state actors have on them. Do you agree with my explanation of Hail Caesar? Comment down below if you do or don't.